Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to the Solidity webinar presented by Nehemiah STEM Research. Today we're going to be looking at events in Solidity. Events and advanced events in Solidity. Just a reminder, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, share it with your colleagues. So in today's webinar, we're going to learn how to log events with index parameters for efficient filtering, as well as build event-driven smart contract architectures, implement event subscriptions and real-time notifications, understand the power of events for UI updates, and decentralized app design, and then deploy and interact with the event contracts, live as I'm taking you through with our Remix IDE. So I don't know why I can't seem to see my cursor. My pointer. Okay, I'll manage. Anyway, so before we get into the demo, there's some core concepts that we need to define. So we have what we call an event, emit, index parameters, event log, event-driven architecture, and subscription. Excuse me. So an event in Solidity is a way for smart contracts to emit log entries stored on the blockchain, which external apps can watch for and react to. And then the term emit in Solidity is basically defined as the act of firing an event from within a contract. Index parameters can be defined to as up to 3 event parameters that can be indexed to allow filtering of events by those fields. So up to 3 event parameters can be indexed to allow filtering of events by those fields. And then the event log. So persistent records created on chain. An event log is a persistent record created on chain when an event is emitted. It's cheaper than storing data directly. Then we have a term called event-driven architecture. Event-driven architecture is a concept where you're using events to coordinate processes and interactions inside or between smart contracts. And then we have what we call subscription. So external clients can subscribe and listen to events for notifications or UI updates. So we're going to look at 3 examples in today's webinar. We're going to look at basic events, advanced events, and then the subscription concept. So let's begin with the basic. This one will be quick. I'll start and then I'll break it down after I finish, and then we'll interact So this time I'm going to deploy, rather, yeah, so I'm going to write all the code. Then after I finish contract or code example for each of these three, at the end of each I'll be breaking down what's happening and give a summary of what it's meant to achieve, and then I'll deploy, and then we'll interact with all three at the end. So I won't interact with one and then move on to the next. Add some comments here. Yeah, so this is a basic event. So what this achieves is basically it logs messages and sender information, then lets external apps filter by sender for UI updates or analytics. So what's happening line by line is we have my mouse. Here line 7, event log, then so that defines a custom event named log that has two pieces of data: the address of the sender, which is indexed so you can search or filter events by it, and then a message, which is of a data type string. and then the event another log, yeah, declares an event with no information, just a signal that something happened. And then we have the function to emit the logs. So this function can be called by anyone since it's public. We made it public. Inside this function, 3 events are emitted. Each emit command creates a log entry on the Ethereum blockchain. These logs are cheaper than storing data in contract storage and are meant mainly for off-chain listening and monitoring events rather than on-chain use. Yeah, so the ease of message sender automatically captures the address calling the function, tying the event to the caller. So that's what this is for. Yeah, so let me now move on to, like I said, I'll interact with all the contracts at the end of this session. So I'm just going to be moving on from one contract to another. We break it down, we understand what that contract is doing, and then we interact with all 3 at the end of the tutorial or webinar. So here we have advanced events and event-driven architecture. So the first one was for a basic event. Now we're looking at advanced events. Okay, so this is our advanced event example with event-driven architecture. So what this contract aims to achieve is it demonstrates event-driven contract logic, coordinating a transfer life cycle, allowing off-chain listeners to track transfer progress. Now, what's happening line by line, basically, if we start from here, the event transfer, line 6 initiated, and the event transfer confirmed. We have declared two events with indexed addresses, so logs can be filtered easily by from, and then to. And then line 9 or line 10 rather, the transfer confirmations, line 9 mapping bytes transfer confirmations. So that keeps track of whether a specific transfer ID has been confirmed to avoid double confirmations. That's what's happening on line 10. And then we have a function to initiate a transfer, emitting transfer initiated event. So when this is called, it emits a transfer initiated with who is sending, who receives, and the amount. When this function is called, or what this function is meant to achieve. And then this function confirm transfer verifies if the transfer has been confirmed before, marks it confirmed, and then emits transfer confirmed. Then line 20 here inside the function stops the execution with an error if it's trying to double confirm a transfer, and then it will echo transfer already confirmed. That's what it will echo. So this contract modularly splits transfer life cycle into clear stages using events that external listeners like UIs or other contracts can catch and react to. So let's go to example number 2. So let's So our third example is looking to cover event subscription and real-time updates. Right. So this is it. So what this one achieves is it illustrates a decentralized sorry about that. Yeah, it illustrates a decentralized pattern in Solidity where contracts can subscribe for real-time event notifications. What's happening basically line by line is, here if we start from the top, yeah, from line 4 interface, event subscriber, it declares a function signature subscriber contracts must implement, and then there's a function inside it to handle the transfer event. Okay. Then we have a contract. We declare the contract event subscription, and from line 11, event log transfer, that logs each transfer with the sender, which is from, the receiver to, and the amount value. The sender from, the receiver to, and then the amount value. And then line 14, we are mapping subscribers, which then tracks which addresses are subscribed. Then line 15, address, that's an array, basically that's a subscriber list which holds subscriber addresses for looping. Then we have a function called subscribe that checks and adds callers to subscribers map and list. Yeah, it checks and adds a caller to the subscribers map and list. Then we have a function called unsubscribe that checks and removes the caller from subscribers map and list in an efficient way. And then we have the transfer function, which is basically it has an emit. Yeah, it emits an event and notifies all current subscribers by calling the handle transfer event. So yeah, it emits an event and notifies all current subscribers by calling the handle transfer event function. Yeah, so we could start compiling. do we do this? Let me first see if I can get my cursor to show up again. Okay, we're back. So we can just call this for the first one to emit the events. And that's from and to. Yeah, so that's from the basic event contract. And then for the event-driven architecture contract, we'll need to input a few things. So we can call this. We'll need to put a sample address. Maybe I can copy this one. And the sample value of 100. And then transact. What's it saying? Error. Invalid argument. So the address is invalid. I think it requires a real address. Let me try and look for one. we've initiated a transfer of 100 to that address. And then let's see. We need a bytes 32 ID to call that. To call the confirm transfer function. Transfer confirmed. Yep. And then our last contract, the event subscription. So we can call the subscribe to add an address of the subscriber. And then the transfer will need to add a recipient address and a value. If we can use the previous one I used. Let's do 50. Failed when subscription transfer. The transaction has been reverted to the initial state. Try it with another address. Same issue. Bad address. Okay. So I guess it needs an actual address, a valid one, for it to execute. But yeah, that's how that's it on events and advanced events in Solidity. Thank you for tuning in. Yeah, we've learned how to log events with index parameters for efficient filtering. We've built event-driven smart contract architectures and implemented event subscriptions and real-time notifications. So, yeah, thank you for tuning in. I'll see you guys here tomorrow. Have a blessed evening.